Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me the floor for my contribution to this bill before the House. Thank you very much, other colleagues, for allowing me time to also put in some thoughts in terms of this bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think, as we've heard, I think there's no doubt in terms of the importance of this bill for a development of our nation or economic growth. I think that's something that, having listened already, there's others that are still yet to speak, but I think just garnering from what I'm hearing already, that there is hope that this bill seems to bring. At the same time, I think there's a need, I feel, that we might need to temper that hope too with some realism and some realistic outlook about what this might mean on implementation. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I think time by umi keke pudding na by umi di sabe hem fitimi umi or iminidim stakamo pudding osem. But I think the idea itself is one that is welcomed, and I think in our setting, we've always been looking at ways to how can we improve our economic lot. How can we grow our economy? How can we earn revenue, knowing that we're experts in spending? Side law spending, you may not need for compete lo here, everyone lo here. Side law spending, yeah, everyone no more. But I think when it comes to ways in which we can try and see to earn money for our nation, to help with the services that we still need to deliver to our people, that is always going to be the challenge, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I think this bill is an attempt towards that. And I think it's in that lens that at least myself look at this bill, that it is an attempt for us to try and take a pathway through which it can contribute. Whether, Mr. Speaker, sir, this might be the silver bullet for our economic growth, that is yet to be seen. I don't think there's any silver bullets. I think there's a mix of policy, legislation that needs to come into place that would allow Solomon Islands to really meet its true potential. But I think this, if done right, could be an important piece, an important component moving forward. So in terms of the policy consideration, I don't see any issues at all. I think this is a great bill to bring in terms of attracting foreign direct investment, FDI flows into our nation. We've known that FDI has always been a big issue for us as a small island developing state. On top of that, we are also an LDC, so we are small more than we least developed more. It's all these labels that we are burdened with. That I think by doing this kind of approach, it starts to break out from that, and I think it moves that in a positive direction moving forward. When we look about jobs creation, we look at revenue incomes and all of that. I think that's very much part and parcel of what I feel the government is trying to do with this bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was also happy to hear about the history of this bill. It's not a new one. Apparently, it's been in the works for quite some time. A couple of iterations of governments in our country have tried, talked about this, but finally GNAT has presented it. So yes, of course, we congratulate GNAT for taking this to this level and having it before the House now for discussions, Mr. Speaker, sir. So it is very much laudable and encouraged that this bill is now before the House. At the same time, I think we've learned from experiences that we need to strengthen our own laws, existing laws even, the laws that deal with investment that come into the country. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I find it confusing sometimes that people don't refer to, timber utilization as investment. They seem to treat logging and mining as some other, activity, not necessarily investment, but these are investments. These are people investing in our country. We need to tighten up the laws on that as well, Mr. Speaker, sir. That has been an ongoing issue now for, I don't know, 3 or 4 decades now, when you look at the timber utilization and that. And I think if it was done correctly, over these 40 years, I think we would be the Kuwait of the Pacific. If we had sold our timber at the world price markets, and we sold timber instead of round logs, make it sustainable, managed, I think we would be the envy of the Pacific, you know, in terms of if we were doing it correctly. So I think it comes back again that we have lessons that we can learn, that we are not in uncharted waters really. We have other investment opportunities that we as a small nation but blessed with natural resources can really tap into. Mr. Speaker said, what the other Pacific Island countries are a little bit jealous of me, in terms of the wonderful endowment that His Almighty has seen fit to have here in this nation called Solomon Islands. But once again, it's our management of it. That has always been the issue. So that is something that I think we might need to do together with this. That is why I'm very happy to hear Inikan reforms come, mining come, forestry coming. I think we have now gotten to that age level where there needs to be a reset in all our resources and how we deal with our resources, the protection of those resources, the best outcome for our people, and how we as a nation can really manage them and then move forward with the blessings that we do have in the nation. Right down to bechdemir, sea cucumber, things like that. If we do it properly, hey, those people are that's the only resource they have. Where they are, where they occur, for many, that's the only resource they have. So who are we to try and manage it too much for them? But we need to also put in terms of a framework, rails, so that guide them, make sure the right protection is there, make sure the right management is there, make sure it's sustainable, and all of that. And then I think find the right market, try and get rid of a few middlemen. We have nice ambassadors overseas. Commerce Ministry can go and help negotiate good deals directly with those that are looking to purchase direct from our people, so that the pricing is world class, so that we can see the best benefit that comes to our people. I think we can do that, and I think that's a respect to our sovereignty, that we stand for our sovereignty and we can negotiate with those that are willing and looking forward to purchase our products, natural resources. So I think those things, Mr. Speaker, for me, I see it together. So I see this SEZ in the package deal with the other important legislation as well that I see in the program that the Governor General had already mentioned that is coming through. And I think timing is perhaps just right. You know, so now we can deal with all of this together, and then it'll be a package deal that GNUT can claim that you have brought to this Parliament under your policy. And that could be transformative if it can be done correctly and learn from the lessons of the past, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, back in mid-1990s, I was a public servant here and part of a task force that dealt with the so-called Vangunu, palm oil. It was supposed to be a township, Mr. Speaker, sir. It was supposed to be a township for Vangunu. I was one of those that was always raising concerns. When you see a draft come in of an agreement, you question a lot. I was accused as anti-development. Kenilorea Junior want to anti-development man. No man. I'm just concerned about protection of our people, the resources, and making sure that the best outcome for them. I'm not anti-development. I'm pro-Solomon Islands, and I'm for Solomon Islanders. I don't know now whether there's a township in Vangunu. It was signed after I went for studies overseas. It was signed. I was the obstacle for that. I don't know what happened there. We know already in 2019 there was an MOU signed already between the Premier, the then Premier for Central Province, and a Chinese company. That was a special economic zone MOU. Some of us might remember of what happened there. It just ended up that the Premier didn't have the powers to sign off all this land. Many of them were customary. Well, much of them was customary. So the government, through the Attorney General, had to nullify that MOU. That MOU was an SEZ. If you read it, it says Special Economic Zone. We've gone through iterations. The Minister has explained a few days ago that Mamara is not an SEZ. It's not. Although there are elements in there that also reflects some of the elements and the strains that you see in SEZs. So we have, Mr. Speaker, sir, have lessons that we can go back and just see. And I think when you have a law in place, that is what helps to facilitate the right kind of connections if you want to talk about SEZs. And as we heard from the previous speaker, when it works really well. Shenzhen, many of you have already been there, would have seen the miracle that is Shenzhen. That's the most successful SEZ in the world, I think, in the history of mankind. So that's the next level there now. Whether we get there, oh, I don't know. But the idea is that that kind of setup is something that can be replicated, of course, in a smaller scale for a small country like Solomon Islands. And that's something that we should look at pursuing. And that is why I think we're doing that now. But Mr. Speaker, sir, when I look through some of the policy choices, perhaps in how the bill is drafted, it also brings up some sense of confusion. We're already starting to hear. I'm already starting to say maybe we need to tamper. Maybe we're only looking at certain places already that could be these special economic zones. And if that is the case, Mr. Speaker, sir, maybe the bill should be just for those specific places, targeted for those places for this time, at least. The way I read it is that it's really open and it gives everybody a chance. Some follow Israel will apply now. Follow now what the provisions here. Apply come minister, but I'm look also by minister, but hey, this one nothing living first time, but I look another place. And who can blame them for applying? Perhaps there's no hurt in applying, but there is a certain expectation. And I think we need to manage that expectation. And if that is the issue that I heard this morning from the Minister of Finance as well, I think he mentioned the idea that these would be certain places. You have to have certain requirements. Wolf must lebet lo there, infrastructure must lo there, Noro, Honiara, mentioning already those designated places already. If that is the intention, then perhaps it's good to just do economic zones, special ones, designated already to a geographic location. This one Bastelo here, this one Bastelo here. We've done it for Mamara already, although it's not an SEZ. But we can also do something similar for designated places. I understand the need in terms to be politically conscious about us as a nation in all of this. But I think in economics, we have to also be realistic on what is possible and what is, more importantly, I think, what is impossible or what might not happen. I think our people should be trusted to be told that this is how it'll happen, rather than being pulled along, perhaps, and then they become frustrated. So explain to our people. Our people are knowledgeable enough to understand and accept that perhaps this is not for them, maybe in the future. But I think when you do it that way, then it changes the whole concept in terms of policy decisions, Mr. Speaker, sir. The whole concept is changed. We're no longer talking perhaps about a special economic zone. If you're looking at specific designation, then perhaps you're looking at industrial parks. Industrial parks, similar to a special economic zone, but quite different. Quite different in how it functions, and quite different in some of the exemptions that you get. You don't get too much exemptions in industrial parks. Government still gets the revenue flow that you need to get from those that want to come and invest in these parks. Industrial parks, territory no more, Mr. Speaker, sir. When you travel around, you look at industrial parks no more. Now the place for manufacture there, the incumbent will be on us. We will be on us, the obligation will be on us. The government, through our partners, to build the trunk infrastructure for that industrial park. Line them now, water, line them now, energy, this for a designated place here. And then, tell them now, I'm open for places of manufacturing there, if all come. That way. So there's some skin in the game, as it were. Mr. Speaker said that if you make a commitment there, then you will go shopping for people for come. There's something already in place. That's an industrial park, Mr. Speaker said. Over here we can see in the schedules, we have 4 schedules here. The word exemptions is quite full there. Exemptions, exemptions, exemptions. In an industrial park, no more. Laws blue in low country, still apply lo there. I got a bus no more, you've already for loading for people go for waka. Waka lo there, come back out from. You give them a certain tax breaks that they need to do, and then they continue to do that. We continue to collect taxes, including PAYE. Those sort of things, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think it changes the whole thinking in terms of what it is that we're really looking at to do, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I think there will be something different too. Something might be a bit different from what our Pacific brothers are doing, but something that might be enough for us in Solomon Islands. That we make laws that is implementable, enforceable. We can make laws, but if they're not effectively implemented, then it questions us as well. One of the advantages in terms of policy, when we go into an industrial park setting, is that you don't have these top-heavy kind of authorities that needs to be set up again. You just go through the minister. Minister got empower, lo park here. So it's a bit more lighter in terms of that kind of governance structure. And it might be better for us as we start and kick off this. Who knows, in the future we might actually go to a special economic zone route as well, or road if we want to take it. You know, as a small island country, we've heard about since independence. You know our population at independence, Mr. Speaker, sir, you saw it? 250,000 people, now the Solomon Islands, that time. Now, for decentralizing development in a population of 250,000, which is like a small town in Australia or even US or China, is about a small place in the village there. If you try to do that, it doesn't make economic sense too. You need market, you need numbers, you need workers, all of that. So timing is very important for us, Mr. Speaker, sir. So that is why. And interestingly, if you go back to independence, who was our biggest trading partner at that time? 1978. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you know it. Japan. Japan, the biggest trader with me this time. A reflection of their return to world power post-World War II. Temannya bayang kopra from me, saka kopra that time. But that shows how the world has changed, how we need to adapt. But at the same time, I think it's good for us in terms of policy to start to look at things through a lens that is also realistic. We know that scarcity is a big foundation setting for economics. Economics is all about how now you may share a scarce resource, how now you may utilizing scarce resource to the best outcome possible. For us in a small island setting, that should be like underlined 2-3 times now. Our scarcity. How do we deal with that? How do we ensure that future generations also benefit from the decisions we make today on how we deal with that scarcity? I think that's very important, Mr. Speaker, sir. And as we read through the purpose of the bill as it listed there, it's already quite specific. It's about export, 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 export. I said deliberately export 4 times for there, Mr. Speaker, sir, because out of the 6 special specific purpose, 4 of them is export. And quite export in certain sectors, fisheries, or so. So that is quite specific already. Look here. I will explain to my people, and what people let me say before they apply now, I say, wait, you must look for them now. What no specific purpose here? Not me apply but disqualify or face letter no more. That sort of thing. But it becomes very specific like that, then I think it needs to be a policy rethink into what it is we're trying to do in terms of weighing a special economic zone where the exemptions is something that is fundamental in a special economic zone. Whereas in an industrial park, exemptions are not necessarily what the investors are looking for. So these are issues in terms of policy that I think we have passed already, but I just thought I'd bring up no more. Maybe rethink about it in terms of what we can do. But once again, I think that how it's drafted, it's giving the perception that anybody can apply. Whereas in reality, maybe that might not be the case. And if that is so, Mr. Speaker, sir, then I think it's incumbent upon us to be very clear to our people. And I think they'll appreciate it. To say no more, by our place to say no more, by me start learning first time, yeah? Or say no, by me start learning first time. And then we massage that with our people. As leaders, we tell them the honest truth about economics. Them hard to happen no place blame me because them economically feasible. Them must happen now lo there. See everything lo there now, see makan say now. That is where all the infrastructures are. Yeah, that's what I say to my people. That's something that we have to be honest with our people. Our time will come. Let it start somewhere and then we move. But if that's to be the case, then perhaps there needs to be some rethink, I feel, in terms of how we deal with this going forward. Mr. Speaker, sir, I very much appreciated the contribution that I heard from the Governor General speech from the throne, particularly on tourism, where he mentioned specific sites, identification of specific sites for tourism, and the incentives that go with that. And I see that tourism is also mentioned here in this SEZ bill as well. I would have thought that tourism would have its own incentives specific just for tourism, because the certain service sector that you're dealing with is separate from what I see here is mainly manufacturing and exports of goods kind of focus on the SEZ. Whereas for tourism, you're dealing with the service sector, a little bit different in terms of how that business works and how you need to adapt perhaps on a daily basis as world events impact direct arrivals. And we lose out or we gain, as countries that are heavily dependent on tourism have found out during COVID. I got a bar go negative GDP now. But then after COVID more, I got money go double digits more. That sort of thing. But I think when it comes to a service-driven sector like tourism, I think it needs its own regime. And I would welcome, Mr. Speaker, sir, government for taking one bill for incentives similar here, but particularly for tourism, and very much designated to a site. This will be a for place or now. Share it on now by Kenilorea. A minimum lot of groundwork will need to be done, Mr. Speaker, sir, before the bill is even brought. Before the bill is even brought. Those are things that twists how we do things around, but I think that's how things get implemented Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of what it is we're trying to do for economic growth in our nation moving forward. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I just want to close by saying I think we are at a critical juncture in our history. Our population growth is still one of the largest in the Pacific and even in the world. Still trying to catch up with our GDP growth. To fala kas-kasih, but economic growth no sa kasih now, population growth man. Yan lupa sim. This fala commandment for go forth and multiply and bar strong. And that's why now everyone blue me bar interest lang tumas. But you me as a government, in terms of setting up the enabling environment that I keep on talking about, I think we need to start thinking about these kind of things in more strategic ways, in terms of how we deal with these issues going forward and how best we can get revenue, we can get back some output, positive output from these laws that we're passing. Just before closing, no more, industrial parks are much more faster to do, much more faster than special economic zones. History has shown those that do industrial parks and barawa fast when you mokota where about the tribe now, special economic zones. So I think if you want to walk fast and do that, then we might start to adopt some of that thinking inside of what we're trying to do for helping our country move forward. Mr. Speaker, sir, I welcome this bill and I look forward to the committee stage where we can go through it provision by provision. With those few remarks, I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.